Okay, we are live.
Hey everyone, it's Simone with Unlock Your Design. I'm here today with Ashley Nicole and Teresa Padilla for our second series in our Living the Body series. This is episode 3 of the Cauldron, Medicinal Foods, Chinese Medicine, the Ching, and Human Design. If you've not been with us for the other 2 episodes, Teresa has been sharing her heart with medicinal foods. Teresa holds 2 PhDs, has been studying Chinese medicine for 17 years and the I Ching for 17 years. So she is doing an amazing job of weaving together all of these modalities and sharing with us in a way that we can take practical steps in our lives as soon as the episode is over. I know that I have, and last week's using earth message to neutralize has been a scene playing in my body with every choice I make. Teresa, welcome, and I can't wait for today.
Yay, me either, thank you.
Mm.
I can't see myself on here, but I'll just talk, which is fine by me. So yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, the slides went through really quickly. Let me get to slide 2. There we go.
We packed it in on this one, so get ready.
Right. And if you were here last week, we had some questions that we didn't have time for, and Teresa's such a genius. She's going to weave in the answers to your question last week as we go through this week. So
yeah, I want to make sure that's really important to me, to get to your questions and answer them. So even like today, if you have questions, we might not be able to get to all of them during the presentation, but we will answer them. Okay, so make sure and ask them what you have, and we'll make sure you get an answer for them. So if we go to the screen before, this week I wanted to start off with talking about your constitution. This week's devoted to Chinese medicine. We've been kind of weaving it a little bit of everything into stuff. But this week, I really wanted to give you a background into your own constitution a little bit. And you are going to get that chart, food chart, that we had in our last week's episode that you can have. So if you don't get that for whatever reasons, let us know. We'll make sure you get access to that.
I think it's going to come out in the last, after the last session, we'll be sending you a thank you, and that will be part of it. So.
Right. Okay, so that's awesome. So you'll get that. We want you to be able to work with the foods. One thing that I was reading something in preparation for this, because I really spend time in resonating with you all, you know, with the moment and with what the subject is at hand. And, you know, being an emotional manifester, I do that until I'm ready to put something together. And so it's very important to me that process. And in preparing for this, what really struck me this time was, I think it was something that Richard Rudd had said about my IQ in my life, in my gene keys is 28.6, and it's totality and immortality, and the gift is totality, and the city is immortality. And he talks about in there that locked inside of this gene key is a genetic sequence that will reveal itself. It's also connected with the codon ring of the Garden of Eden. And what will happen is that sequence will become it'll just come reveal itself. And we will have access to immortality in our physical body and replenishment of our systems, all of our systems. And this is something as a kid, that truth, it just struck me, and I'll probably have tears here. So I remembered when I read that I had that awareness as a kid. And so finding the medicinal foods for me is connecting with whatever I came here, I think, to bring forth. I really want, I wouldn't say it's a desire so much, it's an inherent urge inside of me to have that be unlocked, I guess. So thank you all for that. I'm getting my little tears because now my nose is going to run. So that's behind what's today's presentation. So your own constitution became important for me to talk about. And we all have our own design that's written in the stars, so to speak. And at the moment that you take your first breath, that moment, you know, and even like now we know with human design, 3 months prior, there's a seal. It's like a seal that is kind of locked in time. And between that time of when you take your first, what I call your energetic breath, so to speak, and then your physical breath, those periods of time, there's a prenatal chi that is available to you. And it's your ancestral DNA. It works with your karma and your dharma of what's available to you, and probably is connected with, now what I know, with the wounds that Richard Rudd talks about. So this is something, you know, that you can't change. It's kind of like, in that way, it's kind of like your destiny. You have a certain amount of chi that's available to you, and you can't change that. Because of that, there's a kind of environment that you're born into at that moment of birth with the heavens and earth. And you have a certain kind of susceptibility to diseases that you might come across. You have a certain kind of metabolism that is inherent. You respond to stimuli in a certain kind of way, and you have a predominant element in nature that you are more inclined to kind of center your energy around. Now that doesn't mean that you don't, you also have what's called post-heaven chi, not prenatal, but post. And what this is that with the foods, with your choices of with your breath, those are all ways that you create and build up post-heaven chi. So at the end of when we draw our last breath, the reason why that occurs is because you are out of post-heaven chi. You are out of prenatal chi. There is no more chi available to support your body. And so you go to another realm to support that physical body. So that is what, when Chinese medicine, when they talk about constitution, that's what they're talking about.
So, Teresa, how would someone, and is there a way for people who are with us for them to know their prenatal, their postnatal, post-heaven chi? Is it, you know, can they figure it out themselves, or how would they get that information?
Yeah, that's the second part of the presentation today. That's where we're going to go through is your most predominant element that you lean towards. So with these slides, I mean, I do suggest going to your own traditional Chinese medicine doctor, because they will help you to identify that. What they do is it's a holistic diagnostic or analyzing, if you haven't went to one before. And I would suggest one that's not just learned it as a result of maybe offering sport medicine or something like that. I would get a traditional Chinese medicine doctor that was trained maybe in that first, because the other ones have a abbreviated version and they don't really use the whole system sometimes. Yeah, so what they'll do is they'll diagnose your pulses that go through in each one of the meridians. They'll look at you when you come in. They'll look at how you walk. They'll look at your coloring. They'll listen to your voice, because your voice tells them a lot. They'll look at your eyes and the light that's apparent, that's coming through in your eyes. They'll look at your tongue, nails, and whatever else. It's a holistic diagnostic. So very revealing and very good. So today we're going to help you to identify, though, your predominant element, which will help you a lot. So there's 5 different elements. The first one, these are predominant traits. We're going to go through this pretty quick, because the next part of the slides will be working with what foods and stuff that you can go once you've identified these traits within yourself. Now, you might have a few of these elements. You might have some of these traits that are with different elements, but if you kind of play with them throughout the week and maybe the next month, you'll be able to really identify which ones really resonate with you and which ones you really are, okay? Predominantly. So the wood element traits, your body is going to be tall and thin, long face, broad shoulders, usually olive tone skin tones. Your personality is determined. I'm a wood element trait, wood and fire predominantly. Personality is determined, confident, ambitious, quick to anger, find it difficult to share sometimes with others. Now in spring and when there's wind, usually wood elements do not like wind. They have an aversion to it, because you've got so much rising energy that wind just is a source of agitation. When out of balance, you can get stressed easily. You get tension in your neck and shoulders, headaches. If you have PMS, you'll become irritable during that time, and sometimes you can wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. Okay? So the fire element traits. We have broad shoulders, slightly pointed head, curly hair. You could have thinner hair too, rather than thicker hair. Reddish skin tones. This is a second trait. It's not my predominant one, but I kind of go between my wood and fire. And I always have some kind of like little, red, red stuff on my face. Communicative, charismatic. You like love connecting with others, sometimes difficulties with boundaries and isolation. Don't know when to stop that connecting with others. Not your best in the heat of the summer, because you've got so much heat already. The added heat, sometimes you have an aversion to that with this trait. When you're out of balance with your own fire, you've got some anxiety can become an issue, difficult to enjoy life, sleeping difficulties, or it could be extreme where you might have, that might manifest in very vivid dreams. Poor circulation and spontaneously sweating. Sweating during the day is ruled by the fire. Sweating at night is ruled by the kidneys. Okay. The earth element traits. A solid frame, well-built muscles. This is going to be a well-built body, very sturdy. Round face, wide jaw usually. Yellowish skin tones. Social person, but you like to have your peace, have your kind of space, and have your retreat time. Often, I have a little misspelling there, I think. You're the negotiator. Tend to worry and overthink. Not best in humid and damp environments, because that kind of bogs down the earth element. When out of balance, you have digestive problems are the issue. Tend to belch, have poor appetite, craving for sweet foods, tend to gain weight or vacillate in your weight. Sometimes fatigued around 3 p.m., sometimes mentally foggy after waking up, poor muscle tone and strength.
It's not, well, hold on, I don't know what's going on. There we go.
Metal element traits. Your head, upper back, and shoulders are narrow. You've got a flat stomach. The face is square. Skin tone is pale. But a very strong voice is very characteristic of this trait of the metal element. Disciplined, methodical, not spontaneous usually. You don't like disorder, prone to mild feelings of sadness. Not your best in a dry environment because there's a tendency to already be dry with this element. When out of balance, you tend to get colds and coughs, mild shortness of breath, skin problems, sinus congestion, feelings of grief and sadness. The water element traits: narrow, more in your cage, long spine. That's a very good trait of this. Tummy tends to be a little bit larger in the water element. Round face, kind of curvy lines in the body, broad cheeks, dark toned skin. Honest, objective, sensible. Tend to be fearful though sometimes and introspective. Not their best and really cold. Because contraction is part of this element. You don't need the cold. You don't want any more of that usually. When you're out of balance, you have aches in your joints, lower back, knees, ankles. Can gain fluid retention, memory problems, hearing difficulties, low libido, and cravings for salt. Okay, so creating balance with these element types. The wood element, if you find that that's what you are, blue perium is a really wonderful herb. A lot of times with the wood element body or wood element type, or maybe you're maybe you see those symptoms in you, even though you're not that dominant type. You might find right now you have most of those wood element symptoms, traits. Blue plurium is an herb that will aid you, because what it does is a lot of times you'll get stagnant chi if there's too much, irritability or too much energy rising through the wood. Then it becomes blocked sometimes, and too much going through the gallbladder. So to relieve that irritability and to get the chi to flow again in the harmonious way, blue perium is an excellent herb. In fact, I took some this morning. You can get that through a doctor. You can get it through an Asian market. You can go online, but I like it if it's just straight blue plurium. A lot of times they like to mix it with other things. I would, just that is good. Now, a lot of martial artists, people who they take this herb because it does help the movement of the chi, and it helps the healing of the blood as well with that. Boosting your green foods, sours the taste for the wood. Those all aid to harmonize with this element. Keeping your chi moving through balanced exercise. A wood element body needs to have some hard work and rest deeply. So they need to move that body because there's so much energy, so much rising energy. You have to have an outlet for it. So you need to have some good time for some really good work with your body. And a lot of times, if you feel really bad as a wood element, then you can't figure anything out, go and get some exercise, a good workout, and and some rest, and you'll feel a lot better. Okay, fire element. Pears are such a great thing for fire element types. Pears automatically cool the fire, and they hydrate. So a lot of times when there's excess fire or too much heat, you also have drying that occurs. So sometimes it'll affect the upper portion of the body because the fire rises up, right? So you could have dry eyes, you could have dry sinuses, you could have a dry cough. So pears help with that. Calming the fire and clearing the heat, add bitter foods. So all greens are bitter. Cooked greens, cooked dandelion greens would be great with some pine nuts. Red fruits such as raspberries and watermelon, great, especially for summer. Fire elements need to nurture their nervous system with stretching, yoga, meditation. And they need to stay cool and drink cool, refreshing water. And, green tea is a good drink that really replenishes and refreshes your body. The earth element. Red dates. You can get these out of Asian market. They're excuse me, they're called jujubes. Their Chinese name. They're little round apples that grow on trees. Taste very much like an apple, but more sweet, more delicious. And when they're dried, they're gonna come different sizes depending on what kind of jujube it was. But usually, about a big fig size. And they've got a seed in the middle. So they come dried. So you hydrate them, you eyes steep them or in a medium, boil, at a medium boil, covered in water for about 30 minutes, depending on how hard they are and how fresh they are. Nothing better than red dates to heal stomach or spleen disorders and heal blood disorders and for food stagnation or moving the chi in the stomach and spleen area. One of the best medicinal foods that there is. Citrus peel, very good. Really aids your digestion. This could be lemon, lemon, tangerine, orange, lime, but it's the peel. So cooking with that, putting that in your water, just really good. Lemon ginger tea is great. Nourishing the digestion with warm congee. A congee is like a warm cereal. And a lot of Asian foods, they have rice in the morning, cooked rice with added stuff. They'll have red dates in it, mung beans, different things. But really good for you because in the earth element, you need to keep that stomach warm. So eating warmer foods at the first part of the day is really good because you're just waking up. You're waking up your organs. The stomach likes to be warm. It doesn't want to be cold. So if you drink cold drinks first thing in the morning, it immediately shuts the stomach down. And the stomach is trying to open up and warm up and get the other organ systems moving. So it's good to eat something warm in the first thing in the morning, whether it's a warm drink of tea or something that you have first thing in the morning. Doesn't have to be hot, but not cold. Soups, casseroles are great for earth element types. Yellow foods that are round, like pumpkins, corn, regular exercise. And this would be regular, when I say regular, consistent exercise. Doesn't need to be hard workout like the wood element, but regular, methodical, like walking. Clear the mind with regular relaxation practices. Clearing the mind is real important for the earth element because there's a tendency to worry and overthink. So anything that you can do to clear the mind. And if we have enough time today, I've got an exercise that I might give people. It's very, very good. It takes about 3 minutes. Creating balance for the metal element. White foods, white's the color. Cauliflower, apples, almonds, white beans are one of the best foods you can have. And so hummus is a great thing made out of white beans. Great for the metal element. White beans, what they do is they strengthen the lungs and the large intestine. They're very good for the lungs, large intestine. A lot of people, if they've got like allergies or things, go into the lungs and they just stay there. So it's congested. And they've got a tendency for that. You need strengthening of the lungs. So in actuality, I learned this in martial arts, what creates us to have the strength in the movement of the upper body is the lungs. So, and what often gets most affected, the first organ that gets affected is the lungs, because they're exposed with the breath, they're exposed first to the environment. So the lungs are very important to protect. Herbs to aid the lungs are astragalus. It comes in long, you can get it now in little gel capsules. It's just by itself. It's powdered astragalus. I like to get the bark. There's strips of bark that you get, and you boil them, low boil them. And I put pears with them and cook it together, and then drink it as a tea and add a little bit of raw honey to it. One of the best things that you can do for your lungs, really good in the fall when you have that dry cough and congestion sometimes, really, really good. And astragalus is an adaptogen herb. Adaptogen herbs help you to adapt to extreme situations, like trauma, extreme environments, transitions that you might go through, and they help the lungs to adapt. Somehow we went back. And then staying hydrated, keeping that essence built with sesame seed butter or tahini, really good thing to help keep the yin essence hydrated, working with the lungs and the large intestine. Breathing exercises, that's what helps you to build the strength with the metal element. Okay, and the water element, the color is black and blue. So mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, by the way, is one of the best foods for cancer. Black beans, very good for if you've got low back pain and it just keeps on coming and you just don't feel strength in your back. Black beans are very good for that. Blackberries, plums, blueberries, licorice root teas, because the water element goes to the kidneys, which is considered our root. Any kind of root, vegetables and root teas are really, really good for the water element. Salty foods such as seaweed, excellent. Celery, olives. one of the best foods for the elderly people or somebody who's just maybe been in the hospital for a long time, somebody who really might need their strength back and they just don't have it, chestnuts. A chestnut, like a couple chestnuts a day or about 3 or 4 a day, really, really good for you. Swimming aids the flow with the water type. Okay, so we moved along with that. That was good. So what I would like to go back to is to the Earth slide if we can. There, yeah. Okay, so last week, do you have anything that you want to bring up, Simone or Ashley or?
No, I mean, this is a great overview. I guess what I'm thinking about is how powerful it was last week. And I'm not surprised you came back to Earth element because you were talking about, eat Earth if any place is out of balance. So that Earth element neutralizes. So I'm not surprised that you're bringing us back to Earth. And I'm also thinking about some of the questions that we had last week that we didn't get to. Like someone asked about autoimmune disease and
Yeah. Well, let's answer those questions. That's what I want to do now.
okay.
Thank you. Yeah, there was a question about autoimmune, and I think it was in relationship to like gluten-free and different kind of I wrote it down just a second here. Non-GMO, working with all of that because there was a diagnosed with autoimmune. Okay, this is what I've learned with that. I've learned a lot because I've worked with quite a few people with that, specifically over the last 3 years. So I went different places with it. Now I'm back to going all around and like working with all, now I've realized the real power, and you realize these things at different times, right? I've worked with the foods actually probably more 20 years now, maybe 17 years with other people. And we have so many different kind of modalities that we can use to heal and to work with ourselves. And I am all for that. One of the things that I've learned is when my daughter had some difficulties and my grandson years ago, I almost lost both of them, is that we need a lot of different we need a variety to heal ourselves. And so you want to trust that within yourself. You want your own authority. One of a slogan for when I first was working with the foods I had on my literature was nature is your first teacher. And I firmly believe that. Because we first take our first breath with the lung, with the air that we breathe. I mean, nature is our first interaction, it's our first teacher, and it's our last teacher. So learning how to listen to that within yourself becomes real important. So I don't suggest that you take these and neglect other things, at all. I suggest that you take this and learn how to harmonize this into your life. Whatever works, whatever makes sense to you, whatever you want to work with. So
we're not going to go in and just eat red date, citrus peel, lemon ginger tea. Well, these are some tools that we can integrate within the realm of what we eat. And I hear you talking about variety of diet is very important. But I also hear an underlying note about pay attention to what your body wants. If you're at the grocery store and you see pears and you keep looking at them, maybe your body wants a pear. Doesn't mean you have to have pears for the week, but try the pear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah, that wisdom, that can't be replaced. That can't be bought. That can't be sold. That nobody else can give that to you. You know, that is yours. Yeah.
And you were talking in one of the other episodes about if you want sweet or you're craving salty, you know, instead of going for straight sugar, to bring sweetness to our lives through particular fruits.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to my grandson this morning. He's like, oh, fruit. He was trying to convince that he needs some potato chips first thing in the morning, right? And he was congested. And I said, no, you might be able to get away with that with other people, but not with me. So I said, how about we try some fruit? He goes, oh, fruit, that's too much sugar. Sugar's not good for your teeth. You're not supposed to have sugar. I said, well, that's a natural sweet. You know, that is good for you. You're not you're not diabetic. You're fine with sugar. And it's a natural sweet. So I was teaching him about that. So
so the person with the autoimmune system issues,
what I go back to with that is food stagnation. Okay, because what's happening there is there's a build up of reaction within the body. In the very first episode, we were talking about the triple warmer system, and we're describing that food stagnation. That is exactly what's going on with autoimmune. And I've went all the way around with it. I've helped people with a lot of different things. I've worked with, their doctor with that. And what it always has come back to with me and working with them is food stagnation. So, and what that means is there's a shutting down of the stomach and spleen. So what's important with those people is learning how to take in things in the right time of day. Yeah. So first thing in the morning, don't shut your stomach down. Don't take in iced cold drinks first thing in the morning, okay? Last thing in the evening, don't eat a big dinner when the body is trying to shut down. And now what we're saying is to the body, you need to break all this food down, but it's not going to happen because you're going to go to sleep. So don't eat your biggest meal at night. So timing becomes very important for somebody with autoimmune. Learning the right timing for their body and their system and paying attention to that, listening to that inner wisdom becomes extremely important to that individual and teaching that to them. The true harmony of what the elements are really about becomes real important for the person with autoimmune, because that inner listening they need in order to have the right timing with things. Okay. And that's really what food stagnation is about, is learning to listen to your own sense of timing and nourishing yourself at the right time with the right thing. And you'll only know that from that wisdom. Okay.
So if somebody has autoimmune and they've been told, well, you can't eat gluten or, stay away from soy, maybe they have a buildup of gluten, and it's to teach the stomach how to wake up and ignite the other organs and get the whole team working together.
Yes.
And paying attention to what you're hungry for in the day. And if you not to remove the sweetness of life, to eat some fruit that appeals to you. And
Exactly.
these balancing slides that we went through, if you know what element you are, you can even start there with those suggestions.
Yes. Yeah.
So another question we had,
neutral foods too.
Neutral foods.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another question we had was about one of our participants asked about the thyroid. If you have been diagnosed with a thyroid issue, how, what could that person do to?
Okay, so thyroid is usually hyper or hypo, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so if it's hyperthyroid, what that means is there is usually an excess of heat. That individual will usually have an aversion to cold already. So cold foods are not going to be really good for that individual, okay? And with hyper, what you want, what's really good is lemon balm tea is excellent for somebody with hyper. Chinese yam is very good as well.
Mm-hmm.
For hypo, kelp, seaweed, chlorella. I call a ginseng, it's a astragalus combo. And when I'm talking about ginseng, I'm talking about white ginseng. You can use American ginseng, that's a white ginseng, or Korean ginseng, which is a white ginseng, but not a red ginseng. And you use it in combination together. You don't need too much of either one. And I would work with a doctor with that one.
Mm-hmm.
What's usually occurring also with both of these is that there is a weakening of the stomach and spleen. So building up the stomach and the spleen with winter squashes such as spaghetti squash, butternut squash, using red dates in the form of teas, or just cooking them and eating them, about 10 dates a day. Goji berries, very good.
On the before you move on from the squashes, could somebody, some of the squashes you can slice and put in a salad. Would you recommend that they cook the squashes or?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've got a weakened stomach and spleen, they can't break down the food when it's raw. It's too hard. It's too hard to break down lettuce. Lettuce is one of the hardest things for the stomach to break down, is lettuce.
Very powerful. And then I love this one question, and it was, how long does it do you need to give your body to reboot? Let's say you were on our last call and it really hit you. Okay, I'm going to go to neutral foods. I'm going to eat earth. I'm going to balance my body. So how,
it's how willing you're going to do it. I mean, how much are you really going to throw yourself into it? Like for me, when my now ex-husband came home, he went to a seminar. He came home, he was Sagittarius. He literally went like this, he put his the workbook down on the table, came in the door, put that down on the table, looked at me, and he went like this. Typical fire sign excitement, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, wow, did I learn some stuff? And I'm like, okay. And he goes, he was so, I mean, he was so excited. He started turning red and I looked at the book and I looked at the food, you know, and I said, well, let's start cooking the neutral foods. He's like, they reset your whole body. I'm like, okay. So I went that day. We went to the grocery store, went and bought all the neutral foods that we could think of that we wanted. It was summer, that was fresh and stuff. And I started cooking. And we had them every day. Morning, we congees in the morning, 10 to 12 red dates during the every day. I made the spring tea blend that I might give next week to everybody. It's really good for allergies and really good for summer, hydrating, yin, hydrating and yin, balancing your body and your blood. We did this summer set, what it was for a Qigong set. We did that every day. And I was a size 16 at that time because this was my lifestyle. I was riding in a car, going around from one school to the next in the Midwest, and then sitting down and working with the director of that school. And then they would have me do workshops with the other people that were there. And then I would go next 3 days and go to the next school. Then I'd come back home and, you know, I'd drive sitting down in my car, eating Mexican food on the way. And anyway, I ballooned, you know, to a size pretty quickly to a size 16. And my husband at the time was his largest weight that he had been. In 2 months, we were down to the size that we were both when we were 18 years old. And we ate really good.
But you had that intense focus. So
Yeah.
you were all in. You had all the chips on the table. So how long it takes depends on how much you focus on eating the neutral foods, eating for your element. And I love that you said I was eating Mexican food along the way, and I was like, oh, but hey, let's see, you could have black beans with corn, right? And the rice, right? You could have a rice bowl with some black beans, some corn on top of it. You know, because I've been working with you personally, you know, I've got the summer foods in my mind. I've got the earth foods, the neutral foods.
corn.
You can have a little rice bowl with some black beans, some corn, a little avocado, and cook. You know, have a nice
and
warm
some
bowl.
a limeade. You know, lime cools down your gallbladder and your liver, and it's good for your digestion. Yeah.
You know, that's, I think, one of the things that I love about what you've been teaching us, Teresa, is that in these lists, it's not like you have to, you know, eat every single thing. There's a list, and you can be creative, and you can, you know, look at what you like and be creative. And one of the things that I have been implementing is, you talked about in one episode about how drinking while you eat reduces the
digestive enzymes.
And then you gave us a technique, and I think it was episode 1. But then you also talked about how eating an apple a day, and then you talked, another tip that you gave was, you know, have sweetness in life. Don't remove all the sweetness in your life. So I've gotten my apples, and if I want a little something sweet, I'm, you know, multitasking. I'm eating my apple, and I'm thinking about the sweetness in life as I eat the apple. And and then I know I'm building my digestive enzyme capacity. I'm enjoying the sweetness of life. I'm eating food in season. And, you know, so I love how all the tips and the foods you've been sharing with us, you can work together. And it's not like, you know, you have to eliminate anything and everything from your life. And I know that for me, if I want something that's not on the list, I'm okay if, with one food, because there's also the variety. And if I'm being called for, I don't know, I really haven't been called for anything. Well, I have been. I mean, it's like I wanted a pear. I wanted some artichokes.
Mm.
I find that when I'm thinking about what I want to cook, I'm now addicted to having rice. Like it's so good to make, my rice, and I've been making a big pot that I can use for a couple days, and then I saute some of my vegetables that the white onions, the um, greens in my grapeseed oil, and then I add in the rice, and I have this, some coconut aminos, some tamari, and I have this really wonderful sweet bowl that is just so nourishing. And then if I have leftovers, I just put that right in the fridge, and it can become a snack the next day. And it's
Yeah.
become this fun exploration of, well, what can I put in my bowl today? Or, oh, it would be great to have some rice. And um, just reveling in the variety, because this really opens everyone up to a broader variety of foods and the integration of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that, people sometimes, well, I don't really have time to do this, right? Well, you do. It's not, you're going to do things. I watched people with this for years, and their actuality, their thing that they do sometimes actually takes more time than once you get in the swing of doing something new. It really is the different way of thinking that they're resisting. It's a different way of thinking about it. It's a different way of living a life. And that's the resistance. It's not the time. It's really
Well,
not the
another
time.
thing that we've talked about and noticed is that when you start to bring in the neutral foods or eating your elements, what you'll start to see is your body is working differently. You're changing your organism, and then you're going to start to make different choices in your life. Uh,
Yeah, you get more
because,
motivated.
and then you'll see how maybe you would never have thought to eat 10 dates, but you hear Teresa talk, oh, how 10 dates might help you. So you go buy some dates. And if you just added that one thing, or a particular tea, and then you start to eat that, and then it gives your body a little boost. And then you go, well, maybe if I'll just try this, maybe I'll just add that too. And then you keep adding one little thing at a time. And then what I'm noticing is how my body's guiding me more intelligently to what it wants, and what sounds good, because what used to sound good doesn't sound so good. And then I notice how I feel differently in the morning, and I have more energy through the day. And so then that also builds to create desire for different choices. So, even if you take one or two or three things and you start to implement that, just start somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it's that listening. The inquiry comes from, okay, what is my attention drawn to? And then, yeah, start somewhere. Yeah, that's exactly, yeah.
Start somewhere. Well, we are rounding up to an hour with Teresa in this amazing uh, series of living the body. And Teresa, what do we have in store for people next week?
Next week, we're going into the I Ching and the deconditioning process with the medicinal foods, and talking a little bit more about some recipes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you are loving this series on living the body and you're inspired by Teresa, you can find Teresa at spiritualrenewalretreats@gmail.com. She's actually giving all of our participants and listeners a 25% off on her consults. So you can find Teresa there. I'm actually really loving my work with Teresa, and I get so excited. She sends me recipes. Right now I have some ice cubes that were made out of pear and cherry and I believe lemon that I add to my water that are super fun. I've been making my lemon cucumber and I added a little mint. My water bottles that I drink every day have my hawthorn and what was the two teas. I'm enjoying making my bowls with different things. So this has been a really super powerful experience. Teresa gave me a recipe for muffins that I made into cookies, and they are fabulous. So it's been super fun working with her. And if you are another way that you can experience Teresa is that Teresa is one of our co-creators in Portals of Deconditioning. And so with each transit, Teresa gives us a medicinal food. And if you'd like to experience Teresa through our Portals of Deconditioning portal, we have a bit.ly link for a discount code. So you just go to bit.ly /64 doors -courses, and the coupon code is Cauldron. So we would love to see you in one of our doors and experience the transit with medicinal foods. It has been so fun this week. As I was listening to you, I was like, oh, my partner is this, my son is this, and taking notes on tips for them. And I really appreciate how you answered our participants' questions. If you have questions, you can also put them in Facebook, tag us in Unlock Your Design, and we will get to your questions on air. Thanks for being with us, Teresa. Thank you. Ashley, thank you for doing the back end. We so appreciate you. Without you, this wouldn't be possible.
Thank you.